Debate of the morning, the word to New York City from President Trump yesterday on Truth Social. Congestion pricing, he says, is dead. Manhattan and all of New York is saved. Long live the king. Now, congestion pricing, you might remember, went into effect shortly before Trump took office. It tolls drivers heading south of 60th Street in Manhattan with the goal of using the money to beef up the city's mass transit network. New York Governor Kathy Hochul responded to Trump yesterday.
I don't care if you love congestion pricing or hate it. This is an attack on our sovereign identity, our independence from Washington. Think about this. Next time you're stuck in traffic.
A fight between states' rights and federal rights. Joining us right now, Kathryn Wylde. She is the president and CEO of the Partnership for New York City, also a supporter of congestion pricing. They have been a big backer, many of the big businesses here in the city. Kathryn, it pits federal versus the state at this point. And interesting that you've been as vocal as you have, given that I would argue most CEOs have actually not been that outspoken about some of the things that President Trump has said in other contexts. How do you think about fighting this, and what is industry in New York going to do?
Well, specifically, congestion pricing was passed under the George W. Bush administration. It's the value pricing pilot program. This is a very Republican concept. And unfortunately, we have some campaign rhetoric left over from the congressional campaigns in the suburbs that have convinced the president that congestion pricing is somehow unpopular or negative or a socialist idea. It's none of those. And as the governor said, this is a direct infringement on states' rights pursuant to the federal value pricing program. We're confident that the congestion pricing program is going to continue because we will win in the courts, as we have won in the federal courts due to the challenges brought by Phil Murphy from New Jersey and others.
What do you say to those who say, look, this is just unfair? It hurts the little guy. It hurts the ordinary worker who lives in New Jersey, lives in Long Island, lives in Westchester or Connecticut or upstate, and they're not going to be able to come into the city to do the work that they need to do to live and maintain their living?
It's just wrong. We have studies that demonstrate that excess traffic congestion costs everybody, especially the business community, extra money and extra time. So this is going to end up being a savings. And as we've seen in the 8 weeks since congestion pricing, maybe it's 6 or 7 weeks since congestion pricing has been in place in Manhattan, we've seen that of the people who drive in every day, now we've flipped popularity. Now 66% of the people who are driving in and paying the tolls, small business, commuters and others, 66% supported. And overall, statewide, according to a Morning Consult poll, statewide, almost 60% of all New Yorkers want the president not to cut back on congestion pricing, because that will mean higher fares in mass transit and higher taxes. That's it. We don't have an alternative. We have to keep the transit system running. This is how we're doing it.
Kathryn, one of the things, as I mentioned, is most CEOs have been very supportive of this president, at least publicly, perhaps not so privately, but publicly very, very supportive. You are clearly representing industry, but, you know, I think of so many of the business leaders who are part of your institution, which supports the city. But, you know, Albert Bourla, for example, of Pfizer, who's spent a lot of time at Mar-a-Lago. How many, how much influence do you think that those individuals are going to use or not on this particular issue with the president?
I think the congestion pricing issue the president calculates as a political issue, and that's not something he listens to business on economic issues. He's not paying much attention to their political views, and they're very glad of that. So I think that's not the way to approach this. I think a better example is yesterday the Manhattan Institute came out with a report and set of proposals that the president should see allowing congestion pricing to continue and supporting congestion pricing as a leverage point, they said, so that it's an opportunity for the president to say, look, New York can continue congestion pricing, but in return, I want you to cut some of the laws that make the capital construction costs of the MTA so expensive. For example, we have a law in the state, we're the only state in the country that has it, a gift to the trial lawyers, that raises the insurance costs for capital construction by at least 10%, raises the whole cost by at least 10%. The president could say, get rid of that law, and I'll support congestion pricing. I mean, I do think we're going to win in the courts in any event, but there are other ways that the president could attack the larger issues that we're facing.
Well, let me ask you just about that. And actually, since I have you, as it relates to the mayor, because I think that's the other sort of elephant in the room, which is to say the federal government's always had remarkable influence over states, right? They can withhold money. They can do all sorts of things. There's this very unusual circumstance now, which the president has a remarkable amount of influence over the current mayor in Mayor Adams because of this very unique settlement of this case, a criminal case, where if he doesn't do what he wants, meaning what Trump wants, potentially he could get put in jail. What do you, the partnership, think of that?
I think that the situation with the mayor is unfortunate, but in point of fact, under our state constitution, the city is very much a creature of the state. And we have a strong governor who is on top of both these issues, the congestion pricing issue and the challenges the mayor is facing. She's certainly going to make sure that, for example, that our immigrants here are protected and going to push back. So I don't think that while it's a tragedy what's going on in terms of the mayor situation, our mayor is not a king, and he knows he's not a king. And we have a strong governor who's in a position to be able to make sure that nothing goes sideways in New York.